Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Alicia Michelson, and I am the Artistic Director at Peninsula School of Art in Fish Creek, Wisconsin. I am honored to introduce our newest artists in residence, Linda Jurkiewicz and Emily Walley. Linda and Emily are with us for a total of 6 weeks in an immersive studio experience that prioritizes time and space for them to engage fully in their creative practice, experiment, and to pursue new projects and ideas. Today, we have the opportunity to get to know each of them through brief image presentations. First, we'll hear from Linda. Linda lives in Kansas City, Missouri, holding a degree in music education with an emphasis in music therapy. She began her visual art practice in earnest in 2005. She credits her upbringing as a first-generation Ukrainian Croatian for her make-do attitude and her delight in upcycling repurposed materials, especially women's work, such as dish towels, household items, and clothing. Linda's consequential fiber work incorporates soft sculpture, wordplay, idiom, embroidery, wall hangings, plush form, sequential dioramas, and installations which delve into the cultural roles of women in America over the last century. She incorporates a sense of humor that pushes viewers to re-examine the roles and expectations women have been hoping to change since the first wave of feminism, to trade nostalgia for empowerment. I'll hand it off to her.
First, I would like to thank the Peninsula School of Art and the staff for providing this amazing opportunity. I've never had anything quite like it. This first image is a piece that I made in 2019, and it consists of 100 handmade dolls, approximately 12 inches tall. The entire piece was constructed entirely through the use of repurposed and recycled fabric, cardboard, and small found items. The responders was inspired by Egyptian Ushebtis, which were funerary servant figures representing the deceased and mummiform in shape. The hieroglyphs on the figures are from the Book of the Dead and include, "I shall do it, here I am." As an agricultural community, ancient Egyptians believed that in the afterlife, a person would be expected to carry out the same daily work they did in life. So the Usheptis were buried alongside to fulfill that need. Overlaying that idea with the 20th century woman wife figure, I am grateful that this is not part of my culture's belief system. Performing all of those tasks day in and day out during just one lifetime is definitely enough. And yet, I believe that we are still in a culture in which women are primarily considered caretakers. Do we continue to stand there, ready to serve again? Hopefully, as women, we are beginning to realize that our place in this world includes serving ourselves as well as others. As I continued to create, I saw that most of my work offered me the chance to come to peace with many events in my life that had weighed heavily on my mind and heart. In Should I Stay or Should I Go, I explored events that had left me trapped in questioning and doubting myself. By using the symbol of the cell/cage and the pink suitcases, I was able to see the traps I had kept myself in. Childhood miseries, religion, mental health, and marriage. It was a relief to let myself go and be free to wander in Ready and Willing, the final piece. For me, this series asks questions many of us face in our lifetimes. Some people are able to make quick decisions. Some linger over a question to the point of paralysis. Maybe we are faced with the same question repeatedly. And maybe once we answer the question, we no longer must be burdened with its consequences again in our life. In this piece, Anna, tomorrow your knight in armor will come. This piece is 7 feet by 7 feet, 30 inches deep. It was created with recycled fiber, embroidery, painting, and soft sculpture. On May 3rd, 1940, my mother Anna and her mother Draga killed and dressed 100 chickens for my mother's wedding celebration. I try to imagine my mother's thoughts that day: axes swinging, blood squirting, chickens squawking, feathers flying, the stench, all to prepare for the perfect day. When I was a young woman, she had told me the dreams she had held in her heart for her marriage: hope, love, fulfillment, a life of ease, a life of possibility, salvation. Just as she went to work on those chickens with that vision, she went to work on her life with enormous amounts of energy and determination. But her efforts did not guarantee results. Her life contained an unhappy marriage, 7 children, Catholicism denying her individual voice, severe depression, and ECT treatments. And yet, her pat reply to my questions about love was, "Someday your prince in shining armor will come by on his white horse." And I know you love me for my brain. I've used self sculpture, vintage nightwear, doll hair, and mixed media. Growing up in the 1970s, we were subject to the beginning of advertisements convincing us of all we needed to be appealing to the goal at that time, which was finding a man to take care of us women. If a girl didn't have those outstanding body features, was there anything else that might appeal to the opposite sex? Surely my intelligence could be an adequate stand-in. When I have exhibited this work, I have been able to interact with the viewers, in particular young females, and have explored if this is still a problem to overcome in today's environment. They have shared with me that they feel it is worse with the advent of social media. And who shall hear my plea? This installation was designed to mimic a small chapel with soft lighting, altars, candles, and a music track with a chant composed by myself. The individual artworks were created with fiber, handmade fabric, beads, applique, embroidery, ironing board covers, and mixed media. There was a wall for viewers to leave a prayer. I continued to explore the roles of women in this installation as I worked with images of saints, martyrs, and goddesses. Using the figure I call Ba, which first came to me in a dream, I explored the limitations, bravery, passion, zeal, and compassion of figures related to the Catholic Church, paganism, and other cultures. Using imagery from the Renaissance and Middle Ages as a reference, a time when the general population could not read nor write, and utilizing this imagery as their lesson, I observed only small differences between a woman's life then and now.
I entreat you that thou wouldst protect me from those who want to rape me. Lucia, I entreat you that thou wouldst protect me from those who do not want me to see. Hear the plea of the women of the world. Walley, I entreat you that thou wouldst let me be fierce in moments when I am in danger. Hear the plea of the women of the world.
Who might women call today? What messages might these images from the past offer to women today? Who might possibly hear today's women in their plea for help? In the Top Half Bakery, Ode to the Prudish Mother, this installation was constructed with fiber, found objects, embroidery, screen prints, applique, and 3D fiber sculptures. There was an area created for viewer participation by completing a survey and having their photo wearing papier-mâché breasts in front of a Top Half Bakery tablecloth. Growing up in a rigid and pious Catholic home did not leave any room for feeling comfortable with much of anything, let alone one's body. You couldn't like it. You were forbidden to touch it for fear of mortal sin, and you certainly shouldn't look at it. All information was kept under lock and key, just waiting for some unfortunate accident to happen due to lack of knowledge. I am drawn to female artists that explore women's bodies in relationship to the cultural mores of their time. One of my favorites is Louise Bourgeois' Femme Maison Women House series. These exemplified the realities of a mother tethered to her home with inescapable responsibilities. In Louise Bourgeois, Drawing and Observations, the author Lawrence Rinder states, quote, "The existentialists placed absurdity in a top hat and pulled out liberation. Bourgeois' art depended on such a comic tragic paradox, the surprising ability of negative and positive to reversed. Now I can unashamedly have my cake and eat it too."
I got some troubles, but they won't last. I'm gonna lay right down here in the grass. And pretty soon all my troubles will pass, 'cause I'm in Sugar Town. I never had a dog that liked me some. Never had a friend or wanted one. So I just lay back and laugh at the sun, 'cause I'm in
In perpetuity, I created this tapestry weaving on a found bed frame. I've been thinking for a long time about ladders and women and how they so completely fit the metaphor for the struggles women have faced over my lifetime. I spent some time this spring exploring collage, taking all of the imagery I used in the pieces out of 2 art books. The quilt at the bottom of this image is one of my favorite textiles. It was made in 1843 and was constructed so as family members died, the coffins from the edges would be moved to the middle of the piece, quote unquote, the graveyard. Such a beautiful and haunting image and a way to reconcile the loss of loved ones. I enjoyed using an image I have loved for so long and to be able to add my own to it. Another collage created in the same series. I have found working this way feels a bit more freeing, definitely easier to make changes than in textiles. I feel like this work has led me more into exploring surrealism, which is one of my favorite art movements. While making these, I once again discovered how I keep returning to work about women and telling a story in what I create. This piece is actually a study for something that I'm hoping to do in the future. It was one of my first few attempts at sculpture, and I found this incredibly satisfying. I have been wanting to explore more three-dimensional work, and I see the possibilities of moving more in this direction. Once again, I must say thank you for offering me this incredible opportunity for time and space to explore new ideas. If you have the opportunity, there will be an open house to view our process and our work on Tuesday, December 9th from 3:30 to 5 p.m. It would be wonderful to meet more people in Door County. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda. We also have Emily Walley in residence. Emily is an interdisciplinary artist living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Her painting explores how time and memory shape perception, collapsing multiple moments and perspectives onto a single surface. The work reflects upon the fluidity between digital archives, physical landscapes, and lived experiences. Emily earned her BFA in studio art from the University of Wisconsin-Stout and MFA in visual art from West Virginia University College of Creative Arts. She has recently exhibited in the Midwest, and her first solo show is in June 2026 at Vine Art Center in Minneapolis. Take it away, Emily.
Hi, thank you to Peninsula School of Art for inviting me. I'm happy to be here as an artist in residence and excited to share my work with you today. My work generally explores the intersection of place, memory, and time. It reflects on how images are collected and curated, blurring the boundaries between a lived experience and a digital narrative. I've started with some past pieces from post-grad school to provide context on how my work has developed over the years. This first piece, Through That Which Is Seen, is from a show titled Ley Line. For the exhibition, artists were asked to create work based on a straight line of locations running through Pittsburgh's South Oakland neighborhood. This imaginary line tracked from floodplain to plateau, which I walked both physically and virtually. My intent was to capture the built environment, the landscape, and the idea of physical exertion to highlight the elevation change. What you're looking at is a raised platform made from reclaimed wood salvaged from houses in the area and scrap vinyl. I think of this piece and much of my work as an abbreviated version of reality in which a large section of physical space is abstracted down to a single point. So in this case, the viewer is a transient resident of this walkway passing through an abstracted land and cityscape. These two mixed media pieces are from a series titled Facade, inspired by house and building facades. They started as portraits of an exterior, and I then deconstructed the photograph to just a few elements and returned the facade to 3 dimensions. I like thinking about the human element of this as well, how we inhabit these spaces, and that the term facade applies to behavior defined as being both false and protective. I began this new body of work in January of 2024. My paintings have become the place where my sculpture, photography, and collage coalesced. The following acrylic on canvas paintings all began as small photograph vignettes created from 2- and 3-dimensional objects that are a combination of found objects, photos, and handmade items. These are then digitally edited and reconstructed ahead of the painting. This painting, Falls, is quite small, 14 by 11 inches. I was thinking about how to capture a portrait of an experience, what we take with us physically, digitally, and figuratively, and how that memory evolves over time. For example, a specific place like visiting a waterfall loses its specificity in our memory, becoming any waterfall. And I'm representing that with this folded paper recreation of a falls against the solid structure of the rock that is precariously hovering against the flat background. With Temporary, I was drawn to contrasting a photo of an experience in a natural landscape with this small hand-assembled rock scene. I was contemplating scale in terms of the vastness of a mountainscape when you're immersed in it compared to the captured image and the mental image of this landscape. When the scene is physically recreated by hand, it's closer in size and physicality to the photo than the actual experience, and all the vastness and human feeling of being small amongst the elements is lost. This painting is 40 by 30 inches, so I further manipulated the scale of these two scenes, making them larger than life, but by no means equivalent to the original experience. Folded and torn paper, along with tape, shows up frequently in my work. I use them to represent the malleability of memory and the ephemerality of place and time. For this 24 by 18-inch painting, landscape, none of the images are from the same landscape, and I've added some suggestions of classic landscape imagery, like rocks and waves, fabricated from paper, highlighting both the mind's lack of accuracy and its ability to create a mythical place. In this 30 by 24 painting, Cursory, I began to introduce mapping to the work and think about the compression and layering of an experience in our memory. The green shape in the background is the outline of a path I walked in relation to the Mississippi River located at the bottom of the canvas. I took several photos of trees on this walk and reconstructed them into this one form, thinking about how we're only capturing snippets of our visual field, particularly when there's repetition. Liminal is 36 by 48 inches, and I was thinking about the evolution of place outside of our lived experience and the impermanence of nature. how we can never return to the same place twice, and how the moment in a photograph begins to slip away as soon as it's captured. I use repetition of imagery to create a loose narrative with my work, so the rocks and paper in this work also appear in earlier paintings to draw that connection. Throughout my painting process, I've created several palette monoprints, and it's in this painting trim that I begin to selectively repaint portions of a monoprint of the palette of a past painting to really pull on that narrative between works. This piece is 48 by 36, so the scale of these found natural objects that we recognize as small in relation to a chive flower are expanded to a supernatural scale. This, combined with the abstract paint splotches and flat fields of color, gives the painting a sort of surreal and ethereal quality. Upended is 30 by 24 inches, and with this piece, I wanted to capture a moment in time when everything is disrupted at once and some of it's already missing, and you have to decide what you can piece together of what's left from this multitude of airborne things. I incorporated the vase with flowers due to its typically composed state throughout genre and still life painting, and used it along with this disjointed nature photo against the heft of the rock to represent a state of overall fragility. Adrift is 24 by 30, and it's my first use of out-of-context light as a part of the painting, which is represented in the translucent shape in the lower left. I wanted to capture a feeling where the viewer would be sort of hovering in the space above, looking down on a scene that is quickly losing its physicality. My goal was to capture a multitude of fleeting moments between an experience, a photograph, or representation of a physical object, plus the ever-changing nature of our current headspace and the resulting abstraction that takes place. The driftwood in this painting is in two other paintings as well, but at a different angle and scale, reflecting on how memories infiltrate in different forms and contexts. I'm interested in how these items travel between paintings, the curiosity about a thought, and why it's there with you. Looking ahead at the next 5 weeks of my pen art residency, I'm working towards some pieces that are larger in scale, spending time exploring the place I'm in here in Door County, and preparing for my June solo show titled Continuum. I appreciate you taking a moment to check out my work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily. It was a pleasure to hear from both of you today. Toward the end of their residency, we will be hosting an in-person end of session open studio event. If any of you tuning in are in the area, I hope you will join us and see what Linda and Emily have been working on during their time with us. In the meantime, please follow us on social media for more behind the scenes updates from Linda and Emily. Thank you.